joined the podcast today by Kate Fraser, owner at one of our chamber members, Hutton John Estate. The family-owned estate is home to a range of luxury holiday lets, which are busy throughout the year. And the topic of our conversation today is on the business's green ethos and innovative approach to becoming more sustainable. We'll also be discussing the green business support Kate has received from the Westmorland and Furness Green Enterprise Hub, which is run by one of our partners, Cumbria Action for Sustainability. So we'll get on to all of that in just a minute. Welcome to the podcast, Kate. It's great to have you here. Can you start off by telling us about this project that you've been working on, restoring these buildings and building these cabins to be used as holiday accommodation?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So we started in 2017 and we had 2 holiday cottages to start with. These were properties that we had on the estate and we renovated them and opened them up as holiday cottages. And then the third one, Highgate Farm, was added in 2018. And we tried to make them as environmentally friendly as possible in terms of double glazing, the right amount of insulation, new boilers and things like that. But it is quite difficult with older buildings to make them eco-friendly. So when we decided that we were going to do the cabins in sort of 2019, we decided we wanted to take a different approach and be as environmentally friendly as we possibly could. So it took us a little while to get the planning permission and go through all the processes that were required then. And then we had a manufacturer who built the first cabin for us, but that didn't work out quite as we wanted. And so for all the subsequent cabins, the lodges, we did it all ourselves. So we used local builders, local suppliers, and we've really gone to town, I think, in terms of making them as eco-friendly as we possibly. They're EPC A rated. They were clad in locally sourced larch. They've got insulation in the ceilings, the walls, the floors, and they've got underfloor heating. And to a large degree, that is sustained by PV panels, which take up the most of the roof on the quadrangle. We have to have a little bit of a trickle feed in wintertime, because obviously the sun isn't quite so shiny in the wintertime, but otherwise the PV panels do all the energy for the underfloor heating. And then we've got some LPG for doing the hot water. So that makes them very, very efficient to run. So it's not only a question of making them green, it's also good business, because it means we're not spending a vast amount of money heating them. It's also very important to us, not just in the building of the cabins, but also for other reasons as well. We always use local suppliers. So when we're talking about welcome packs and things like that, we always use local suppliers and we use local builders. So, as I said, yes, we try to make them really as eco-friendly as we possibly can.
Yeah, just from what you said there, you've kind of gone to great lengths to try everything you can. And you know that's earned you EPC rating A, but you were explaining to me that the guy said that it could be A++
Yes,
if they have that sort of thing.
Yes, the surveyor who did it said that really they're so good, they're really A++. But he said, we can't give you an A++. So you've just got to put with an A, which isn't bad at all, is it? But yes, so in our blogs and on the website, we don't say it's A++, but it is actually. So we were really proud of that. And I have to say, my builders were very proud of it as well, because it was very much, after I say the first one didn't work out quite as we hoped, it was very, very much, I was on site every day with the builders, going through what we could do, how we could make things better, deciding what would be the right kind of windows to put in for double glazing, what kind of, would be the best for underfloor heating and all of that sort of thing. So yes, it was a real team effort, and they were really proud as well that we got such a good rating. It's really good.
Were there any areas in kind of delivering the whole holiday experience where you couldn't, you came up to a barrier and you just couldn't make it as sustainable as you would have liked it to be?
Yes,
yes, there's scope for improvement there, I'm wondering.
Yeah, we could definitely do better with the LPG. So at the time, that was really the thing that we thought was the best for the cabins. We did look at biomass boilers, but there are, I don't want to be anti-biomass boilers, but there are issues in terms of making sure that biomass that you have is sustainable and local, because a lot of the time you have to import the biomass. And so from that point of view, it's not really very eco-friendly, or not as eco-friendly as we would want it to be. And there are also issues because we're cutting down trees in another place, another country. We don't take that on board in terms of calculating our carbon footprint. We should, but we don't. So there are issues, as I say, with biomass boilers. So moving forward, we can definitely do better. We need to improve that and do something else other than LPG, but we just haven't found what we would be a good replacement for that at the moment. But I'm sure we will at some point, definitely. And also, I suppose we could talk about the wood-fired hot tubs as well.
Yeah.
There's always a balance in business. You want to be environmentally sustainable, but you also have to offer people what they want. And for cabins, people want to have a hot tub because they probably haven't got that at home. We looked long and hard because what we didn't want to do, the PV panels wouldn't support having electric hot tubs. And you also have to use chemicals in hot tubs, electric hot tubs, and we weren't keen on doing that either, because you've got to get rid of the water regularly, and of course it's got a lot of chemicals in it. So after doing quite a lot of research and talking to other people, we found some really great hot tubs that we're using our own water because we've got a borehole, so we use our own lovely spring water. There are no chemicals in there, and it's wood fired. So some guests, a small number of guests say, oh, it takes a long time to get the water up to temperature. But most guests really enjoy the whole experience of lighting the hot tub, getting up to temperature and getting into their lovely hot tub with the wonderful views. And I think also knowing that it is not damaging the environment to the same degree. Now, I've just talked about biomass and the issues of sustainably sourcing your wood. So we've had to make sure that we do sustainably source our wood to the best of our ability. And also looking forward, we're thinking that we might change over to willow briquettes, which are produced in this country from sustainable sources. So it's a short rotation crop. So the problem with some biomass is you're cutting down mature trees. And of course they plant small trees, but a small tree that say is sort of 3 feet tall isn't going to take in as much carbon as a mature tree that's 50 or 60 years old. So we're always looking for new things and ways of trying to improve what we're doing and making things better. We're certainly not there yet. We haven't achieved where we need to get to yet.
Sure. And you've got a willow crop within the estate, is that right? That would the idea be for to use that biomass to run the hot tub?
Yes. At the moment, we're already contractually bound to use that biomass for other people, so we can't use that at the moment, but there's certainly potential in the future. That's sort of why I mentioned willow briquettes, that we might be able to use our own willow for the hot tubs, and that would be even better, because literally willow can be used for various different things, but this type of short rotation crop is specifically planted for biomass. So it's not like ancient woodland that you would want to sustain for 100, 150 years with the mature trees. It's designed to be coppiced. And so in terms of carbon footprint, we can have them produced into briquettes locally and then brought back onto site. So that would be very sustainable if we could work that. As I say, we put the willow in, or planned for the willow a little bit before we started on the cabins. So things just didn't quite fall into place with that. But hopefully in the future, as I say, we'll be able to make use of them, I hope. Yeah, definitely.
Sticking with the idea of keeping things local in your supply chain, you use local businesses to supply products to go into the cabins for the holiday makers. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yes, it's taken us again a little while just to perfect what we want in our welcome pack. But now we've really got it right, I think anyway, in terms of we are showcasing some really fantastic local produce, jams, fudge, and we also provide guests with a bottle of wine. Now we do produce a small amount of wine in Cumbria, but not a lot. So we can't use a local vineyard, but what we can do is use a local small independent business, and all their wine is either vegan, organic, produced by local, small vineyards in the country of origin. So we do our absolute best. And of course, as I say, we're supporting a local business as well. And I think it's really helpful for them because in two ways, not only are we buying from them, but we also make sure that the guests know where the wines come from, where the fudges come from. So if they wanted to buy it or buy it for a gift or whatever, then they could do that as well. We also provide tea and coffee. So we get that from Out of Eden, which is a local company based, I think, I can't remember where it's based, but it's based in Cumbria. So yeah, all our welcome pack now is from local suppliers, and most of it's local produce. We also do milk. Now, we took quite a long time to come up with how we could do this in the best way possible, because I just really dislike those little plastic, what do you call them? You know what I mean, don't you? That you get a little plastic.
Yeah,
sachets, that's right. Thank you for helping with that. Sachets. And they're not really very eco-friendly at all. So what we do now is we provide guests with a little milk bottle, and we ask them to put them back into the welcome pack basket or hamper, because we wash them and recycle them and reuse them. So rather than using any plastic in that, we're using glass bottles, which we think looks much nicer, but also again is much better for the environment. So yes, trying to support local businesses, and they support us as well, and it's really, really helpful.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Just thinking about kind of how you communicate with your customers. You know, you can do all of this stuff to make the cabins as sustainable as possible, but you know, if somebody goes on holiday and leaves the heating on and the windows open, then that's going to negate what you've done. So how do you deal with that and encourage people to be a bit more conservative with energy?
Well, also, you've got to be very careful again, because it is a business and people are on holiday and you don't want to preach to them too much. Mm-hmm. So we have various different things on our website, blogs, outlining how we are looking after the environment, looking after the woods, and our ethical ethos in terms of trying to be sustainable. But we also just give a few little pointers in our guest directory, just saying to guests that there are thermostats on all the radiators. And that's in the cottages, but in the cabins, it's even better because they were built from new. We were able to put thermostats in each of the areas, so the shower room, the living area, and the bedroom, and they can change the temperature, or they can switch it off if they want to. So if they go out, they can switch it off. The system also is very clever because it knows if there's a window open, and it does alert you to the fact that there's a window open, but the heating's on at the same time. So we can't guarantee that all guests are going to turn the thermostat down or turn it off when they're out, but we're giving them the option to do that. And we're hoping that because we are promoting the idea that we are more sustainable, and we've now got a Green Tourism Award as well this year, that hopefully some guests are coming specifically for that reason. And for example, on cool stays, we've got 5 leaves out of 5, which indicate that we're very, very eco-friendly. And so hopefully that sort of thing is relevant to a lot of people nowadays. So they are looking to go on holiday and have fun and enjoy themselves, and they don't want to be preached to, but they do want to perhaps be encouraged to do something that's better for the environment. And if they can do that easily by just turning the thermostat down, then why wouldn't they do that? And I think and hope that you know, a lot of guests will do that.
Yeah, definitely. That's really, really interesting. And where your accommodation is situated is in such a beautiful part of the country. Yeah. And so I suppose it's part of the experience, like kind of, sort of being kinder to nature and, you know, seeing the best of British nature right on the doorstep.
Yeah, and hopefully they get that when they come to the cabins, the views from the hot tubs, the views from the cabins themselves, it's lovely. You can see all the fells above Ullswater. You can see down towards Dacrebeck. It's really, really beautiful. And all the sheep, and there are hares and badgers and foxes. And yeah, so it's really, really beautiful. And I'm sure that is in the back of a lot of people's minds, that they've come here, they want to enjoy nature, be hopefully nurtured in nature, and enjoy it, but they do want to support it as well. They don't want to see it destroyed for themselves or for, you know, for future generations.
Moving on now to some of the business support that you've received and your work with the Westmorland and Furness Green Enterprise Hub run by CAMPS. Can you talk a bit about how you've been working with them and with it was EV charging you were looking at? How is that
Yes.
going?
Yes, yeah. So I had an initial discussion with Zoe. So a bit like we're talking today, talked about how we were trying to be more environmentally friendly, and thinking that we could do more, but we needed more help. And so that's what we've been able to get. Zoe's pointed us in the direction of lots of information and support. The first thing we did was with Simon Brace about EV chargers. And so I wanted to make sure, because we've got various different sites where we could have them, and I wanted to make sure that we put them in the right location. And so we've decided that we are going to put a twin charger up at Highgate, which will be available for the cabins and for people at Highgate Farm, but also for some of the other holiday lets. Eventually, what we'd like to do is to put them at all of the holiday lets. But as with any business, it's all about cash flow, so we can't do all of them all at once. And then, having spoken to somebody called Tim Maiden from Green Small Business, we were looking into how we could perhaps, because we've got a large bank of PV panels, perhaps we could use the PV panels to charge the EV charger. So I'm sure at some point this year we're going to put in an EV charger up at Highgate, but we're just sort of in discussions with Tim at the moment as to how we could do that. Because initially with Simon, we thought that we might just do it off the national grid, off the electricity. But Tim thought that it might well be possible to do it off the PV charger, off the PV panels, which would clearly be much, much better. So that's been very helpful. And it'll be good for the guests as well, because we do occasionally get guests saying, do you have EV chargers? And unfortunately, we don't at the moment. And it's not always easy to get access to EV chargers. There are some in Penrith, but not that many. But Tim Maiden also, he's going to help us. We're going to get some help with our carbon footprint. So we will be able to log how much electricity we're using, et cetera, so we know what our carbon footprint is, and therefore perhaps what we need to offset it in terms of perhaps moving towards net zero, being control, or even better than that if we could. The only problem, again, we've had with that is that because although we're a tourism business, we also have land and we also have quite a lot of woodland as well. And Tim and the Green Tourism Award, they couldn't really cope with that. So they could look at us from a tourism perspective, and that's what Tim can do as well. But they can't really look at all the woods that we have and the carbon capture of the land as well. So Tim's going to put me in touch with somebody who can help with that, so we can get the carbon footprint of the whole business, which would be really brilliant. I can't hear you at the moment, Joe.
I've muted myself.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I could see your lips moving. I just couldn't hear you. Okay.
You think I would have learned how to use it now. Yeah. Just saying that it's great to hear about how those projects are progressing from the initial consultation you had with Zoe, and now you're kind of really putting plans in place to do these technological changes to your business. Yes,
it's been really useful.
Yeah, fantastic. Yes, so anyone looking for green business support should go to Cumbria Action for Sustainability's website, and you can book a consultation through their website. So just to finish off now, Kate, thinking about other businesses that might be listening, what are some of the tips that you'd have for them to become more sustainable? Where did you start out on your journey?
Really, it was just I knew somebody who was involved in that sort of area, and also just myself. Over the years, you sort of pick up things and talking to builders and saying, could we do this better? Could we do that better? But it's really more probably in the last 3 years where I've really educated myself a lot as well as to what we need to be doing. Just personally, that I need to be doing, but also as a business. And it's not simply about, I want to be green because it's trendy or because I think it's a good thing for the environment. I do. I think it's trendy, but I think it is a good thing for the environment. But it's also a good thing for your business, because the PV panels, they are expensive to put in, and you might have issues with the national park in terms of getting planning permission. but it's worthwhile doing, because now, because we've made these cabins so well insulated, and because they're heated most of the time from PV panels, it means that your energy costs are really very low. So it makes sense, not only from the environmental perspective, but also from a business perspective as well. And so it's a win-win. So I don't see why, you wouldn't do it. So even if you don't, in fact, do anything, it's worthwhile having a chat with Zoe and seeing what there might be available for you. There might be grants available that you could use. And there might be other things that you hadn't thought of that you could do that would save you money, but also be better for the environment. And I think moving forward, particularly in the tourism industry, if you can show that you are thinking about things like that, that will be something that will appeal to a lot of guests. They can come on holiday, they can stay at your property, they can have a really great time, have a hot tub, have a lovely view, but they can also feel assured that they're not doing anything that's really detrimental to the environment. And I think that's a really great thing. I can't hear you again, Joe, sorry.
Again, must be time for a cup of tea. Yes. Brilliant. Well, that sounds like a great note to end on, Kate. Yes, go to, if you're looking to start, make your business sustainable, go to the CAF's website, or if you go to our Cumbria Business Growth Hub website as well, we've got the Westmorland and Furness Green Enterprise Hub section of the website where there's loads of resources and links to support there as well. So yeah, just very last thing is to thank you for your time today, Kate. And yes, where can people keep up to date with your green business work? Instagram? Well,
if they look on our website, www.huttonjohnestate.co.uk, we've got some blogs on there. And as I say, we're doing more and more. And hopefully over the next year or two, we're going to do even more. And so you can keep updated on that. But thank you for listening to me, Joe. I've enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you. All right. See you later.
Brilliant. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.